All right, everybody. So hello. We're going to be going over the igneous rock practice. All right. And so we're going to be starting from question 1, which says, which graph best represents the relative densities of 3 different types of igneous rocks? So we see rhyolite, andesite, and basalt. All right. So you know the page that I'm going to go on the reference tables is page 6. And when I go to page 6, I see the 3 rocks given, right? And it was rhyolite, andesite, and basalt. And so if we take a look, we're looking at rhyolite, andesite, and basalt. Now, when talking about density that we see here, you see the rule is if I move towards the left, my density is lower. If I move towards the right, my density is higher, as it states here. So therefore, which rock is most on the right? It is basalt, which has the highest density. I'll put H for highest. Then as I move to the left, my density gets lower. So the second one is andesite, and the one that has the least amount of density is rhyolite. So I need to pick where basalt is the highest, rhyolite is the lowest of densities. And so when I take a look, it ends up being choice 4. All right, basalt is the highest, rhyolite is the lowest, andesite is in between. So the correct answer is choice 4. Now, when I take a look for number 2, number 2 says, which igneous rock is dark colored, cooled rapidly on Earth's surface, and is composed mainly of plagioclase, feldspar, olivine, and pyroxene? So I'm just going to go side by side. I'm going to zoom this in for number 2. All right. And so based on what I see, I'll just zoom this in as well too, right? So it says which igneous rock is dark colored, cooled rapidly. So therefore, if it's dark colored, you see where it says color right here, right? So the darker it is means that it has to be on the right side. So I know that it's going to be a dark colored igneous rock. So it can be any one of these so far. Now the fact that it says cooled rapidly, right? Cooled rapidly lets us know it's what type of rock. It's an extrusive rock, right? Remember, if it's an extrusive rock, right, it's cooled on the surface of the earth, it cools very fast. So that means that it's going to be one of these rocks here, right? I know it's going to be rocks to my right, and it's going to be an extrusive rock. And then it says it's composed mainly of plagioclase feldspar, olivine, and pyroxene. When I take a look, right, and I look all the way on the bottom, right here, I notice that it's supposed to have plagioclase feldspar, so it's supposed to have this, olivine, and pyroxene. So therefore, it has to be within this domain. All right? It has to be within this domain. So when I clear everything out, it has to be an extrusive rock. It has to be in this category, and it has to be dark. So therefore, my answers could be either basaltic glass, scoria, or vesicular basalt. And the correct answer is scoria. All right. Once again, remember, extrusive rock, it was made on the outside, which means it cools rapidly. Dark colored, right, means it has to be the rock on the right side. And because it's composed of these 3 minerals, it has to be within this category. When I take a look at number 3, All right, so number three, obsidian's glassy texture indicates that it was formed what? Anytime that you see the word formed, right? If they want to know where an igneous rock is formed. So I know obsidian is an igneous rock. Why? Because I see the word obsidian underneath the igneous rock title. And so how can I find out whether or not it was cooled slowly or quickly on the Earth's surface or deep? Obsidian tells me on the chart that it is an extrusive rock. And so because it's an extrusive rock, that lets me know that it was created on the surface, right? Intrusive means inside of the earth. Extrusive, right? The prefix XX meaning exit, right? Outside. That lets us know it's on the surface. And if you're cooled on the surface, you are cooled extremely fast. So therefore, that lets me know it has to be cooled on the Earth's surface because it's an extrusive rock. And because it was cooled on the surface, it cools quickly. Remember, intrusive rocks cool slowly, extrusive rocks cool quickly. All right. Once again, for number four, it gives us a flow chart below, illustrates the change from melted rock to basalt. And it says the solidification of the melted rock occurs. So remember this word solidification, it represents cooling, right? The meaning is cooling, right? And the melted rock needs to cool in order to solidify. So when I look at the rock, basalt, right? Basalt is categorized as what type of rock once again? I take a look and it is an extrusive rock, right? Volcanic extrusive rock. That means that because it was created on the surface, that means that it cools rapidly, quickly. So I know that it can't be choice one or choice two. Now, because when I look at basalt on the chart, you'll notice, if you look on the right, you'll notice that the texture for basalt is right here, right? If you take a look, the texture for basalt, it tells you right here that the texture is fine. So therefore, that lets me know that it's a fine grained mineral that cools rapidly, which is choice four. Taking a look at number five, taking a look at number five. And so number five says, which intrusive rock could be composed of approximately 60% pyroxene, 25% plagiocase feldspar, 10% olivine, 5% amphibole. So I'm looking for a section, right, where more than half of it is filled up with pyroxene. A quarter of it is plagiocase feldspar. Just the fact that I'm looking at something at pyroxene where it's more than half, it shows me that it only has to be within this column right here. So it has to be a rock within this column right here. Why is that the case? It's the case because a majority of this column right here is filled with pyroxene, and it says 60% pyroxene. 25% plagiocase feldspar, and there's about a quarter of it filled right here as well too. So my rock could either be gabbro, diabase, basalt, vesicular basalt, scoria, and basaltic. Now the key thing to remember in this problem is that it also says which intrusive igneous rock. So out of the ones that I picked out, out of the ones that I picked out, the intrusive rock, right? The intrusive rock that I see, it could be gabbro, and sometimes it could be diabase, or diabase could be extrusive or intrusive. But I'm looking at the multiple choice. The best answer for an intrusive igneous rock that has 60% pyroxene, 25% feldspar, that tells me that it's gabbro, and it is choice 3. All right. And last for number 6, which 3 minerals are most commonly found in the igneous rock granite? So once again, I'm looking at page 6 of the reference tables, and I'm looking at mineral composition. All right, this chart right here is going to tell me what minerals is in the rock granite. All right, so when I look at granite and it says which 3 minerals are most commonly found, right, in granite, and so therefore, I'm going to look at what's here. I see potassium feldspar, I see quartz, plagiocase feldspar is here, biotite, and amphibole. So 3 out of these 5 minerals have to be on the choice. And when I take a look, the one that has 3 out of the 5 that's mentioned is choice 4. Plagiocase feldspar, potassium feldspar, and quartz. And so that is my answer.